is client-centered. You know, we've got a system that has developed over years now, very good in mental health. It's been client-centered. What is this going to do to that? It sounds like this is going to be a major mess.
We're worried. Of course, it hasn't happened yet. I'm sure that the people who will try to make this work will try to make it work. I'm sure they'll do the best they can. But it's a large task, a complex one that includes everything from organizational, etiquette to the substance of the programs. It's just a tremendously large task that we don't need to do. As I say, we need to cooperate, but we don't need to be in the same house to do it.
Yeah, that's what my concern is. It sounds like this is going to be a top-down type of situation. Who becomes the hierarchy on the situation, the highest administrator? How is this going to flow and stuff like that is my concern. I'll let you go because you're being both very informative, and I want to hear you on the radio. But on the TV. It's great to hear you. Great to see you there, and good luck. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Good evening. You're on Street Talk.
Hello.
Hi.
Forgive me when I ask you because I really don't know the answer. But I am curious. Is mental health including in a portion of special education when it comes to someone who can't walk and mentally has a real problem? And if it is, I'd like to continue asking you questions.
Would you like to answer that, Bob?
As I understand the proposal, the things that are funded by the Department of Education are not included. Education is primarily a local function funded by the towns and operated, controlled by the towns. And these are state-level programs, although they contract with local providers to provide services. So while the Department of Social Services now funds a lot of special education, and the Department of Children and Families is responsible for education until someone is 21, 18 in some cases, 21 in others. The special education functions per se will not be included in this department, although you might ask why not if everything else is.
Well, probably because they're federal. Special education falls under 504 and various civil rights acts that are federal, and then it's all translated through the state in a funnel.
But a lot of these things are. Yeah. As you pointed out, there are federal analogs to all of these departments,
right.
And a lot of the money that they administer comes from Washington through the state right. agencies. Go ahead.
I retired, fortunately, very young, and not medically, but I was able to do the right thing. And then I went to work for a school system. Mm-hmm. And I worked for about 12 years, just a little under 12 years for the school system. And we had the most precious little girl mm-hmm. who was probably 10 when I went there, and was 18, of course, when we helped her walk across the stage. And she, quite honestly, mentally was 2 and never changed. And we had a person who was assigned to her one-on-one, mm-hmm. and things never changed, to be honest with you. She said 2 words, and that was Dada. And she never learned to walk, and we helped her across the stage. And I guess my question is, where do we cut that off and give it to the child who is I don't know, in need of help, educationally, financially, or just a special student. We use the word special, I don't use it, but the word special student who is really brilliant and very smart, and we need to address that. Now, guys, we can't do it all. You know, I mean, if we sat here tonight and discussed all the things and all the reasons why Obama or Bush or Clinton or Kennedy or anybody else wanted to do things, we can't do it all. Somebody has to give a little bit up. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to be the pie instead of piece of the pie. Hmm. So I don't know why we spent $30,000 a year, but we did. And we did it, I'm guessing because the state said we should, or the federal government said we should. But it was the biggest waste of $120,000 per year because we helped this beautiful young lady walk across the stage, and she didn't know what she was doing. And that's my real problem with all these social things that we're trying to get involved in, and yet we should be involved in a lot of them.
Yeah, I think
so I'll hang up and let you answer.
Thank you for your call, and thank you for sharing that.
I think first of all, you started out at $70,000 and went to $120,000 a year pretty quickly, and that can happen. But there's a lot of imprecision in what people think things cost. But I think the real point, on the real point, I agree with you, and that is, you're talking about an individual, a girl, a person who has individual needs. She's not going to learn algebra, but she can learn something. She can learn to some perhaps slight additional degree of mastery of her environment, the world she lives in. And part of that may be being in school with other kids her age, but her curriculum, her program, should be tailored to her needs. You shouldn't put her in an algebra class and then flunk her when she can't pass it, but you shouldn't just let her, sit in the sandbox all day either. There should be some, in my view, there should be some program that meets her needs, that helps her do something she couldn't do before. And that's what, I don't think that costs $120,000 a year, but I don't really know. I'm not sure, I don't know exactly what was involved in her program. But I hope that it was tailored to her needs and not simply some category of need defined in Washington or in Hartford or in Idaho.
I think that was a very touching call, and I think for me as a mother, I guess I want my kids to have the whole box of crayons and not just the black and white ones. Mm-hmm. And it's not for me to determine their future as adults, which I'm learning. My children are now in their 20s, and I'm reaching that, cutting the apron strings. Okay, if I must, I will. But I know that working with people with special needs, that sometimes for any human, any life form, a plant, if you will do better around other plants than in a pot on a shelf in the dark. And if the only experience that she has that is equivalent in our social mindset to normalcy was walking across the stage, well, she got it.
That may have been a triumph in itself. If that was her dream, to belong, if that was the way she defined it, mm-hmm. Doing what her friends were doing, then that was a triumph.
And finishing something, seeing it through. Excellent lessons, whether